How significant is the fact that Rabbi Emden owned and operated a printing press in this controversy and his fight against the Sabbatian movement?
Very, very significant, very significant. Rabbi Jacob Emden, when he got to Altona, first he rented and then he bought. He bought a home. We know the address. We know exactly the Breite Strasse, 155 Breite Strasse in Altona. Altona today is a suburb of Hamburg. The Vav in Nahu, Wandsbek, is also a suburb of Hamburg. And I went to visit his house, but it was destroyed. It was taken down in the 30s. So I stood there in front of the space that was his house. I felt like I felt the aura of Rabbi Jacob Emden in front of his house, which is no longer his house. And in this house, he describes his house in Megillat Sefer. He had, as I mentioned, a place where he had a minyan. He got special permission to have a minyan. It was not normal communal policy. You know, today, anybody who's a Barbe Rav the Chad Yoima has a minyan in his backyard. Otherwise, Nebuch pas garnished. I'm especially in COVID. These minyanim exploded, and poor Nebuch pulpit rabbis who are desperately anxious to try to get these chevra back into shul, and it's not working so easily. So Rabbi Jacob Emden had his own minyan, and he also had a printing press. He got permission in 1744 from the Danish king, because Altona was under Denmark. Hamburg was under the Holy Roman Empire. It's a very interesting juridical conundrum, because in the Jewish world, Altona, Hamburg, and Wandsbek was one jurisdiction, but in the non-Jewish world, Altona was Denmark and Hamburg was, we'll call it Germany. So he got permission from the Danish king to run a printing press. The fact that he had a printing press, to my mind, to respond directly to your question, highly exacerbated the situation, because the only things he printed in his printing press was his own stuff. And he printed all of this, besides his own, some of his own Torah. He printed all of his anti-Sabbatian polemical works in his printing press. In today's world, my students tell me there's something called flaming. I want to draw a Zustel to 2022. What's part of the problem with the internet? That's a huge problem. Besides all the Chazarah on the internet, is I get angry at somebody, so I post that somebody is a menuvel. That's it, because in a fit of anger. Tomorrow, I wake up and I say, what? You could have picked up the phone to call him. You feel bad, because now everybody saw that he's a menuvel, and everybody's liking your tweet that he's a menuvel and he's a menuvel, and then that menuvel goes to Facebook, and it's gone, it's over. So today it's so easy to be mevazeh somebody, and you do it in a fit of anger or a fit of upset or rage or whatever, and then when you wake up, you have a shtickle of calm down, you drink a shtickle of coffee, or you daven a good shachris, and you realize, you know what, Shema Koleinu, I'm sorry, Slach lanu avinu ki chatanu. Yesterday I was chayte against the Shmerel, but it's too late. It's too late. That's the price you pay for having a printing press, because in the heat of battle, you run down, nobody's watching, you do whatever you want. Churns it out, sends it out, and it's a kachtzach, and it's a titzach, and it's a mefachetzach. If he had to think for an hour, if he had to go pay somebody and it took a year for the book to come out, things would have been much quieter. I don't think he would have been less vociferous, but the impact on the public space would have been less immediately vociferous and volatile. So yes, I think the fact that he owned a printing press was very, very significant in fanning the flames of what became a world controversy. Pretty much everybody was in Chayrim. The Emden forces put the Eibshitz forces in Chayrim. The Eibshitz forces put the Emden. I tell my Talmidim that if you were not in Chayrim, it was a busha. It was a busha. And guys are lining up, was bin ich garnished? Put me in Chayrim. I also want to be in Chayrim. What? I'm not worthy of being in Chayrim. I'm a nobody. Everybody was in Chayrim. Anybody who was anybody was in Chayrim. The Jewish world was totally falling apart. And it's not a coincidence that shortly thereafter, traditional Judaism begins to wane and the Reform movement and Haskalah become ascendant. Yepashat the Balabas looks around and sees this rabbi calling this rabbi a shegitz and worthy of Chayiv Misa, and this one is Chayiv Malkus, and this one is a Cherem. The Balabas says, I don't know what's going on. Ich ben Apashat the Yid. I don't know what's going on, but this is, I don't know. This where's the Varmkeit? Where's the Zizkeit? Where's the Neimus of Torah?
Who needs this? Who needs this?
And this is just not working for me. It's not Judaism that I want to be a part of. And little by little by little by little, with very significant influences coming from the outside, but there was nothing inside to hold the line because it was just falling apart.